Hey, happy people, this is Mr. Wilcox. This lesson is for Algebra 2, and today we're going to start talking about how to graph absolute value. We will finish graphing absolute value later in the week. So, first of all, remember absolute value has three parts, so we call that a piecewise function. If x is positive, we just get that number x back out. If x is 0, we get 0 out. And if x is a negative number, we get the opposite of x back out. So we can see how down here how that works. If I plug in a positive number like 2, I get 2 out. If I plug in 0 into the absolute value function, I get 0 out. And if I plug in negative 4, I get the opposite of negative 4, which is 4 out. So this is what we call a piecewise function. We're going to talk about other piecewise functions later, but absolute value is the first one we know. And so because those negative numbers become positive, what happens is the graph of our absolute value gets bent up. So instead of having a straight line, the negative part and the negative direction goes to positive numbers now, so we get a V. So the parent function of this is the graph that we're always going to compare back to is the simplest version of an absolute value function is y equals the absolute value of x. That's the simplest one, so that's our parent function. So that starts at 0, 0 and goes up 1 over 1 in each direction, making our v. So what we're going to learn today is how adding a number either inside or outside the absolute value changes what that v looks like. So first of all, we're going to start with adding or subtracting a number outside the absolute value. So if we add or subtract a number outside of the absolute value, it's going to move in the y direction or it's going to move us up or down. So adding a number to the absolute value moves it up 2. So our parent function started at 0, 0. So if we move up 2, we'll be at 0, 2. And then remember, we went up 1 over 1 in each direction. So we're still going to go up 1 over 1 in each direction and make a line. So all that happened to our absolute value function when we added 2 outside was everything moved up 2. So our v just went up 2. And we went up 1 over 1 in each direction. All right, so what happens if we subtract a number? Well, if we subtract a number outside our absolute value, our function is going to move down. So if we have y equals the absolute value of x minus 3, everything's going to move down by 3. So we usually start at 0, 0. If we move down 3, we'll have 0, negative 3. And then we're going to go up 1 over 1 in each direction. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So we get a v that is down here that has been moved down 3. So adding or subtracting a number outside the absolute value, adding moves it up, subtracting moves it down. Add or subtract a number inside the absolute value, well, that's going to move it in the x direction or it's going to move it left or right. So if we add a number to the inside, you think it would move it to the right in the positive direction, but because of the way the formula is actually set up for this function, it's actually x minus a number. So the only way we can addition is to subtract a negative number. So that means we're actually going to move in the negative direction. So we're going to move to the left. So y equals absolute value of x plus 3. We're going to start by moving from 0, 0, and we're going to move 3 to the left, giving us a point right there. And then again, we're going to move up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1 in each direction. So we get this v. So everything on our graph just got moved 3 to the left. So if adding a number inside moves everything to the left, subtracting a number moves it to the right. Again, it's going to move it to the positive direction because of the way our function is set up to be minus on the inside. So if we're subtracting a number, we're subtracting a positive number, so we're going to move one to the right. So if I have y equals the absolute value of x minus 1, then we move 1 to the right, and then I'm going to go up 1 over 1 in each direction. Up 1 over 1, do it a couple times, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and that gives us our v. So everything was moved 1 to the right. All right, so let's do one example where we do both. So we have the absolute value of x minus 2 plus 3. So this plus 3 moves us up 3. And this minus 2 inside, remember, is going to move us to the positive direction 2. So we're actually going to move to the right 2. So we're going to move our 0, 0 to the right 2 and up 3. So this is going to be our new starting spot. And we're going to go up 1 over 1 in each direction a couple times. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and we're going to make our v. So today all we're doing is called translating. We're moving our function around. If we're adding or subtracting outside, we move it up or down. If we add or subtract inside, we move it left or right. And then if we have both, we do both. All right? So your homework, Cardinals, is a worksheet. It is on Brightspace under assignments. It's called Graphing Absolute Values Worksheet 1. Make sure you check your activity feed for your assignment for tomorrow for your virtual assignment. This is what was a quick look at our first lesson on graphing absolute value. So have a great day, Cardinals, and make it count.